If you're looking to add extreme versatility to your new GoPro Hero 9 action camera, or you're simply after the ability to mount extra accessories, creating your own customized setup, Ulanzi have you covered with the GoPro Hero 9 cage. We've previously taken a close look at the G9-5, which is the Hero 8 version of Ulanzi's metal cage, and it turned out to be a solid platform for extreme use. In essence, the G9-5 that we have here is the same item, although customized for GoPro's latest flagship, the Hero 9. Although this year we receive a new, lighter version too. Sticking with the metal cage first though, packaged precisely the same as its predecessor in its simple box and wrapped in plenty of bubble wrap, the cage looks just as robust as the Hero 8 version. In fact, it really is precisely the same, other than the slightly larger size of course. With some branding printed with precision across the bottom corner, we have a matte black full CNC machined aluminum structure here, which not only feels seriously strong but looks the business too. Let's get a Hero 9 straight inside here. Thankfully, an easy process completed by sliding the securing frame on the rear up and away, as well as removing the side plate too, which will eventually cover the battery. The cage is now ready for the camera to be inserted, although if you'd like to utilize all of its features by attaching accessories for instance, which interface with the GoPro via its USB-C port, then you'll first need to go ahead and unclip the camera's side door by opening and pulling it away from its hinge. The camera can now slide into place where it fits really quite snug, before sliding the rear securing frame back down into place, locking the camera within. A spring-loaded bearing is used to keep the frame locked into place, and as a result it's held firm with no wiggle room whatsoever. Notice how we have that exposed side of the Hero 9, which is very useful for quickly changing batteries without having to remove the entire camera from the cage. To keep the battery securely in place though, we reattach the side door previously removed. Notice the foam pad on the inside used to keep the battery pushed snug into the camera, along with a small dimple for the spring-loaded bearing to hold it in place. It also leaves a hole for attaching external power and accessories without having to remove the side panel. Very handy, but does of course mean we lose the camera's water resistance. Nevertheless, with the camera now in place, we can start to explore what makes this cage so versatile. Of course, we maintain easy access to the entire rear display, and both the power and shutter buttons are fully exposed. No issues there at all. The lens fits nicely into the cage, and we now have a 52mm filter adapter, perfect for attaching filters of your choice quick and easy. Although this filter adapter also poses as a hindrance too, since it covers part of the Hero 9's front display, which could get annoying should you be using the camera to film yourself. Fortunately, if you're not using the adapter though, it can be removed by releasing the 3 screws that secure it down into place. After which we have full access to the front of the camera again. You can even replace the lens cover, although it's a bit of a tight squeeze mind, but it is just about doable, meaning you are able to use directly attached filters and accessories instead of using the adapter should you prefer. Anyway, moving to the bottom, we find a microphone adapter mount, used to house the GoPro microphone adapter that we saw with the Hero 8. A similar adapter for the Hero 9 doesn't actually exist at the time of creating this review, but should one be released, we have a space for it ready and waiting. Just beneath this, we have our mounting options, with a 1/4" 20 thread built straight in. If you prefer to stick to the GoPro mounting ecosystem though, a small adapter is included alongside some mounting hardware. And once secured with the 2 screws supplied, we have our standard GoPro finger mounting point, making the entire unit ready for mounting. Alternatively, should you wish to create a more compact setup, we can lose the microphone adapter mount altogether by loosening the 2 screws holding it in place. And we now find we have the same mounting options directly on the cage itself, both the 1/4" 20 thread as well as the ability to mount the GoPro finger adapter directly to the cage too. So the choice is yours. Finally, moving to the top, we find a standard cold shoe mount, perfect for attaching an external microphone for instance, and since it sits a little way away from the lens, you can use a furry dead cat without it coming into view of the lens. Although again, if you prefer a more compact solution, the riser adapter can be removed, allowing the ability to attach an accessory closer to the lens instead. This leaves a final side cold shoe mount free for attaching a video light or any other such accessory, making for a rather versatile and completely customizable setup. Naturally, this entire setup adds not only a little extra bulk, but also adds a little extra weight too. Whereas the camera alone with battery inserted comes to around 158 grams, the same camera within the metal cage now weighs in at a hefty 350 grams, more than double. And bear in mind, this is without any external accessory connected to the various mounting options around the camera too. Nowhere near the weight of a DSLR, but something to bear in mind. Although if that's a tad too much weight for you, then we have the G9-4 plastic cage instead. Well wrapped in bubble wrap, what we have here is pretty much the same item, but in a much lighter plastic form. At least that's on first impressions. We do have some slight differences here too, which make it even easier to use. So with the metal cage, we removed the rear frame and the side cover completely in order to slide in the camera. The process here is the same, although we have a hinged design instead. Slide a switch at the top to unlock the rear door, and a switch on the side to unlock the side door. And slide in the GoPro, with its side panel removed of course, before snapping the rear door and the side door back into place. And the camera is held inside nice and firm, no separate parts to fumble about with. With the camera in place is much like the metal version, so full access to the rear display as well as both the mode and shutter buttons. We also maintain access to the side USB-C port for attaching external power, and can easily open the side cover to reveal the battery, making swapping out batteries a painless procedure. While we have the 52mm filter adapter on the front, just like the metal version, we still have the same issue of the front display being partially covered. But in this case, we can easily unclip the adapter if it's not required. No screws to mess about with here. And we have full access to the front display, as well as the microphone and status LED too. Unlike the metal version though, we cannot remove the lens cover to attach filters directly to the camera due to the plastic frame, so any such filters will need to be attached before inserting the camera into this plastic cage. But on the plus side, we do receive a lens cover instead, which snaps straight into place in order to protect the lens while not in use, something not included with the metal version. When it comes to mounting, we find that space for a possible microphone adapter just below, although it's not removable at all here, so even if it's not used, it looks like you're stuck with it. Just below we have the GoPro finger mounts for attaching to the GoPro mounting ecosystem, but again this is not removable, so no 1/4" 20 thread here. You'll have to use a separate adapter instead, which isn't included within the package either. So in essence, it's not as versatile when it comes to mounting. On the plus side, we do keep the two cold shoe mounts beside the lens for attaching microphones or lighting accessories, although the riser isn't as high as the metal version mind, but it can be removed for a smaller profile. But note that by removing the adapter, we also remove the side cold shoe mount too, so are just left with the top one. Hence, in most cases, it's probably best to keep this in place considering it's a smaller profile in the first instance. Above all else, whereas the metal setup weighed in at 350 grams, the same plastic setup comes in at a much lower 200 grams instead, so much more friendly and easier to hold for longer periods of time. And better still, it's less than half the cost of the metal version too. So, with some subtle differences, the end result is pretty much the same. I guess it comes down to whether you need the extra strength and mounting versatility of the metal cage, or the slightly less versatile, yet lighter and possibly neater example with the plastic cage. Both are crafted to perfection and provide added options when it comes to mounting accessories alongside your GoPro Hero 9 though, so you won't be left disappointed whichever option you choose to go for. Personally, I'd stick with the metal if you're looking to mount the setup to an object, such as a vehicle or bicycle for instance, or the plastic version if you're looking to hand hold the device for a more vlogging style setup. Either way, both options create a neat and tidy package. With a higher quality construction and robust overall design, both options are certainly versatile enough to easily recommend.